All right, continue part two. So the program sergeant could mess it, however they felt about it. If a fight, they would stop it. You know what I mean? So I would say probably dual vocational institute DVI was better for canteen. And then the way they do it for transferring, San Quentin would let you know in the middle of the night that you're going somewhere. Pack your stuff. They wouldn't tell you where you're going most of the time, unless it was a cool correctional officer. Tracy, on the other hand, you get a bag under your door around just as count clears just before you go to chow. A bag will come underneath it. It'll say your name, your CDC number, and wherever you're going. So if you're going to Corcoran, it'll say CSP uh, Corcoran, COR. That means California State Prison Corcoran. If you're going to Soledad, it would say CTF. That stands for Correctional Training Facility. Okay, and like I said, San Quentin wouldn't tell you. So I would say that's better. And the way Vocational Institute DVI does, the property officer comes up to you, has your door pop. You bring all your property. If you need, say, 3 bags, these are just stored brown paper bags. It'll say bag 1 of 3, 2 of 3, 3 of 3, and then you have your stuff in there. And they document everything. And then the next morning, about 3 in the morning, 2:30, 3 in the morning, you get popped out. They pat you down real quick. They make you put your foot up, 1 foot. They touch your sock, make sure you ain't got nothing in there. Next foot, same thing. They make you pop your shoes off, obviously, which are slip-ons, and they check them. And then they just pat you down, and then you go to R&R, which is, again, receiving and releasing. Excuse me. Anytime you come into prison or leave a prison, in the California Department of Corrections, you will come in through R&R, and you will leave from R&R. No matter if you're being released, you're going out for medical, you're going out for whatever. It's called R&R, and every institution has one. Okay, so eventually what happens is as you're going in the holding tank, they give you a brown paper bag which have peanut butter in it, because they said peanut butter plugs you up, less using the restroom, because on the bus, as the bus is moving, you can't use the restroom. Not to take a crap. You can take a piss. You can't shit on the bus. And what the way they do it is when we get to the next prison, as you're dropping somebody off, if you have to take a shit, they'll take you into their R&R and you use their bathroom. Okay, the way San Quentin does it, like I said, they wake you up if you're asleep at, say, 2 in the morning. They say, hey, so-and-so Johnson, pack your stuff, man. You're being transferred. And like I said, they don't always tell you where you're going. Okay, so and then both of them, San Quentin and DVI, both have brand new R&Rs, so it's pretty clean up there. Either way, it's pretty clean. So you're not really, I mean, a holding tank's a holding tank, right? A bullpen, you would call it bullpen therapy, right? And like I said, you'll sit up there for however long till your bus finally comes, and then boom, 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 you get on the bus, and then they'll hit that road. So I would say when it comes to transferring, I would say probably I like DVI better because I'm more used to it. I've been through that process more. When it comes to going to see your counselor, so the way it works with that, everybody's assigned to a CC1. CC1 stands for Correctional Counselor 1. And usually they're equivalent to a sergeant, a correctional sergeant, usually. Sometimes they might just be a regular CO, correctional officer. Okay, then their boss is a CC2, which stands for Correctional Counselor 2, which is usually equivalent to a lieutenant, a correctional officer lieutenant. Okay, then you have a CC3, which is the top correctional counselor there is, and they are equivalent to a captain. Okay, now you see your CC1, and they'll ask you a bunch of questions. Oh, your mother's maiden name, how many kids you got, each name of the kid. They'll ask you your parents' name, the date of birth, everything you know about them, your siblings, their date of birth, their names. And like I said, your kids. They'll ask you if you graduated high school. They'll ask you different things. And how they determine your points is, it used to be high school diploma, if you served in the military, all that mattered. If you were married, now that's no longer the case. Now what they go off of is your age when your first arrest, the age you were when you hit reception on the case you're there for now. So obviously the younger you are on either one of those questions, the more points you get. Okay, and then if you identify as being a northern Hispanic or a southern Hispanic or a bulldog or a blood or a crip or anything, you say you belong to something, or they figure you do, they give you 6 points for that. Okay, then how much time you got, they times that by 2. So if you got a sentence of 3 years 4 months, they just times the 3 years times 4, or excuse me, 3 years times 2, and that's it. Okay, so it's 4 things that determine your points. The amount of time you got. So if you're doing 5 years, say you're doing 5 years, 4 months, they'll go 5 times 2, which is 10 points. Okay, then if you belong to a group, blood, crip, whatever, that's 6 more points. So that's 16 points there. And then how old you were, your first arrest. So like I said, the younger you are, the more points you get. And your age when you hit the reception center. So the younger you are, the more points you get. Okay, so once you see your correction officer and all those questions are asked, and they fill it all in, then they process your paperwork, and then your stuff will be sent over to CSR. CSR are the ones that determine where you're gonna go, right? Where they're gonna send you. And of course, they have to check enemy lists, and if you have any enemy lists against anybody, or if anybody has against you, if you do have more of those against you and for you, it's gonna take longer to get you where you gotta go. Obviously, if you're a level 4, it's gonna take you longer because the not that many people go home for level 4s. They're doing long stretches or life terms mostly. So if you're a level 2, level 1, you're going to get in and out of the reception pretty fast. If you're a first termer, pretty fast because you don't have really no paperwork to do. You know, they don't really have to find and track your old numbers and make sure what kind of charges you had then and there. 3 important things that they do check for, and it's stated on your paperwork, on your legal summary status sheet, and your 128 for your ICC, which is Initial Classification Committee, or your UCC, Unit Classification Committee, which you don't do that in a reception center, but they'll clear you as far as arson, sex crimes, rapes, and then also escapes. Those are 3 main things that they check into. They have to be on top of those. And your 128G will have everything you're arrested for, even if you weren't prosecuted for it. But if you're arrested, it'll be on there regardless. And then, once your paperwork goes to CSR, they'll determine where you're going to go. And then you're usually out of there within, the last time I was in DVI, I was there from October of 12 until March of 13, so about 5 months. And then San Quentin, I was there from February until April. I was there like 70 days, which I lucked out because I was called to the counselor's office along with everybody else to do their paperwork so that their paperwork can go to the next step. But I was only called there to tell me I had a active warrant. But the counselor's aide, I forgot the name of their job, he didn't pay attention, and he gave me the packet like everybody else. So my counselor told me, she goes, "Oh, it's your lucky day. I'm gonna go ahead and just do your stuff like everybody else." So I ended up being there for 71 days. So I would say about for San Quentin, it's a lot cooler there. So that's a plus. You know what I mean? Because you're right on the Bay water, San Francisco Bay. You're right on the water. I mean, when we come out to Yard, we see you're there. Bayside. It's called Bayside. You come out to the water. The rocks are right there. If it's foggy, the fog line, we won't come out. They can't see, I think it's like 10 feet, 20 feet onto the water. They won't let us come out. And then you can see the tour buses, not the buses, excuse me, the tour boats going by. And you also see the that come out there to see the whales. And you also see the, what's that called? The ferry that takes you from one side to the other. So it's a historic place. San Quentin's the oldest prison in California. I want to say it was built in 1850, something like that. It's an old place, and it sure shows too. It's disgusting. It's filthy. A lot of big old rats around there. You know what I mean? DVI is old too. It's not as old though. Originally, DVI was a California Youth Authority, and then sometime in the 60s, late 60s, I want to say it turned into a prison. And a lot of history in these places though, as far as the organizations and the movements of when the big four of California, the prison gang started. A lot of killings, a lot of stabbings, a lot of victimizations, a lot of everything in those places. So I would say overall, San Quentin is a better place to do time than DVI. But DVI is a lot closer. They're both close. If you want to get technical, they're both close to where I'm from. But one of them is like dead set where I'm from. I mean, it's so close. But technically, they're both considered would be considered my backyard. So that's just a little scoop on the pros and cons of the 2 reception centers, DVI, Dual Vocational Institution, and San Quentin. And just for the note, DVI is no longer open; it's closed, and they're supposed to be closed in San Quentin soon, and Susanville, and Soledad. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. I don't know where they're going to do with all the inmates and all the workers. What about the security? Their unions, they're going to be tough on people. We'll see. But with that being said, uh, Big Lou going to be tapping out with What It Do with Big Lou. Thanks for stopping by. If you guys haven't already, sub to the No Fly Zone Ricans. We're still striving for that first 1,000 subs. So yeah, anybody that watches this, if you haven't already, please go sub to the No Fly Zone Ricans. That's our main channel with my co-hosts Nelson and Carlos, both New York Puerto Ricans, and of course it's your boy Big Lou from the West Side, Puerto Riqueño, Boricua, and it is what it is. So thanks for tapping in. Hit the like button, comment, ask any question you guys want. Everything's pretty much free for asking, except for I don't want to get deep into politics. So other than that, everybody just go ahead and ask, comment whatever you want. If you want to say, hey, Big Lou, this video sucks, go ahead and do so. If you got any ideas you want to tell me or anything, go ahead and make the comment, leave the comment. All right, with that being said, again, Big Lou going to tap out, and this time it's for real with What It Do with Big Lou. All right, I'm out.